I'm Remy. I fell asleep on a work call. My camera was on. My boss saw everything. It was a 2 p.m. status update. I remember my manager talking about synergy or leverage or some other corporate word that means nothing. The next thing I remember is my head doing that slow, cinematic nod and then snapping back so hard I almost got whiplash. I looked at the screen and saw my own face, slack-jawed, peacefully drooling in my little Zoom square. My coworker, Ben, had sent me a private message. Just 2 words: "You alive?" I'd been running on maybe, I don't know, 3 hours of sleep a night for a week. I was mainlining coffee and surviving on spite. I thought my dark circles were just part of my personality now. But seeing the evidence of my own complete system failure reflected back at me, that hit different. The humiliation was just profound, especially when my boss sent an email an hour later. "Hope you're getting plenty of rest, Remy. Let's touch base tomorrow." Yeah, something had to change. So obviously, I knew what to do. The internet has been screaming the same advice for a decade. Turn off your screens before bed. Have a consistent sleep schedule. Yeah, okay. Turn off my phone, the one tiny glowing rectangle of joy I have after work, the only thing that stops my brain from replaying every embarrassing thing I've ever done since 2007. That sounds terrible. And a consistent bedtime? I'm not a toddler. My bedtime is whenever I finally pass out from existential dread. I'd lie in bed, phone 2 inches from my face, scrolling through nothing, literally just swiping, my thumb with a life of its own. And I'd think, I know this blue light is basically telling my brain it's noon in the middle of the Sahara. I know this. But I kept doing it. Resisting the solution felt more comfortable than actually trying to fix the problem. It was my one little rebellion, a rebellion against being a functional human, I guess. But the memory of my boss's email kept flashing in my head. "Hope you're getting rest." Ugh, fine. I'll do something, but it's going to be on my terms. So I didn't just try something. I went to war, a war on being awake. My first mistake was trying to do everything at once. I bought blackout curtains. I bought 3 different kinds of chamomile tea. I got a lavender pillow spray that made my room smell like a rich grandma's funeral. I even bought a special journal to process my day. My wind down ritual became a 90-minute second shift job. It was insane. First, the skincare routine. Then, brew the tea, which was always too hot to drink. Then I'd try to do some light stretching while a clay mask hardened on my face, making me look like a gargoyle. I'd try to journal about gratitude, but all I could write was, "I am grateful this tea has cooled enough to not scald me." By the time I finally finished all my relaxing activities, I was more stressed and wired than when I started. I'd crawl into my pitch black, lavender scented tomb at midnight, absolutely buzzing with failure. This was supposed to fix me? This was somehow so much worse. After the great wellness disaster, I gave up. I just went back to my old ways for a week, doom scrolling myself into a 2 a.m. stupor. But I was so tired. So one night, out of sheer desperation, I tried the one thing I swore I'd never do. I took my phone, walked into the kitchen, and plugged it in to charge, by the fridge. It felt like leaving a piece of my soul in another room. I got an old digital alarm clock, one of those with the angry red numbers. The next morning, I woke up to its horrible buzzing, not because I'd been staring at the ceiling since 4 a.m. I still felt like garbage, but it was a different flavor of garbage. Progress? Maybe. I started forcing myself to get up at the same time every day, even Saturday. It was brutal. But then, about a week later, something weird happened. It was 10:30 p.m. I was reading an actual book, and my eyes felt heavy. I felt sleepy. I didn't fight it. I didn't need a 90-minute ceremony. I just turned off the light and went to sleep. It wasn't a miracle. It was just quiet. So here I am. Look, I still have nights where my brain won't shut up and I find myself negotiating, maybe just 5 minutes on my phone in the kitchen while standing up. I'm not suddenly a morning person who wakes up at 5 a.m. to go jogging. My hair still looks like I've been wrestling a badger in my sleep. I still have dark circles. They're more like heirlooms at this point. But the difference is, I'm not in a constant state of emergency anymore. A bad night doesn't automatically become a bad week. It doesn't end with me being publicly humiliated on a conference call. I have the tools now, even if they're the boring ones. The phone still sleeps in the kitchen, most nights. My brain knows that when my head hits the pillow in the dark, it's time to at least try to shut down. Turns out sleep isn't some prize you win for being a perfect, productive person. It's just fuel. And I was trying to run a marathon on an empty tank, year after year. If you've ever stared at your ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering if you'll ever feel like a real person again, you're definitely not alone. Drop a comment if you get it. I actually read them. And if you want more stories about being a glorious mess, hit subscribe. We're all just figuring it out.